And we would like to reintroduce our guest. We were speaking momentarily with, and then, of course, we were looking for an alternative to get in conversation with her. Samantha So is her name, founder and principal of the Radiant Spectrum. They are an inclusive music school, and their students really have all sorts of special needs. They could be autism, it could be them being non-verbal or ADHD or being selectively mute as well. So Samantha, let's revisit that first question which we had for you earlier, which was how you were moved to want to establish a music school for students with special needs. Tell us.
Sure. So the backstory is I was teaching music, and after my first encounter with a 4-year-old boy with autism, I realized that a lot of our children with special needs have a keen interest in music, but existing schools in Singapore just can't accommodate them. Teachers in most music schools are not trained to work with children with special needs. I've even heard of teachers wanting to avoid taking on a special needs child because it's more work, right?
Yeah.
Who wants more work? Yeah. Then on top of that, existing music curriculum is not designed for a special needs child. So before I set up the Radiant Spectrum, I was teaching privately. I made a conscious decision to only take in new students with special needs because it was just so much more rewarding. What started out as only 2 students became 15.
Wow.
And it hit me actually. If it was left to me alone, I would have a limited reach. But if I set up a school, if I were to build up a team of like-minded individuals, we can touch many more lives. So I actually tried looking around Singapore. There wasn't a school that catered specifically to these children. Every other teacher or school out there says, oh yeah, we can work with children with special needs, but there wasn't one that was created specifically for these children. So last year, I took a leap of faith. In the thick of COVID, we set up the Radiant Spectrum, and we are the first music school in Singapore for children with special needs.
And kudos to you for that. A very, very noble job, I have to say. But we did talk about some of the so-called special needs that we alluded to in our introduction to you. Could you maybe expand on that? What kinds of special needs do your students have?
Yeah, how severe perhaps can they get?
Okay, I think you covered most of the needs that we have. The bulk of our students are diagnosed with autism. To get a better picture of the kind of student that enrolls with us, if you are a child who, with autism, because autism is a spectrum, if you can kind of survive and thrive in a mainstream environment, these kids would usually go to the other music schools. Same as, if they could go to a mainstream primary school. The ones that tend to come to us tend to be those with moderate to higher needs. That's why they don't do very well in a mainstream environment, a mainstream music school, a mainstream academic school. Yep. So on top of that, we do have kids with global developmental delay, coupled with motor skill delay, speech delay. To get a better understanding, we have a lot of kids who at maybe 8 years old, they can't write, they can't speak, but the interest to learn music is there.
Yeah. But why do parents in the first place want to send their kids for music classes with the Radiant Spectrum? Is it just like, any ordinary, parent who want your child to excel in different ways beyond academic? Okay,
so our school, we serve a niche within a niche. Our students are diagnosed with special needs. That's the first small little portion of Singapore, right? And within this group, the ones that enroll with us are those with a keen interest in music. So parents come to us because they notice that their child who can't sit for more than a minute would spend up to 10 minutes tinkering with a xylophone or with any other musical instrument. Another example, I have students with speech delay and they communicate only in one word, or short phrases like open, eat, cookie. But that same student, when you play a song, a nursery rhyme, like Baba Black Sheep, he can sing the entire song.
Oh, wow.
It's fascinating. Yeah, so a lot of these parents notice that their children enjoy music or are calm when they hear music, and I think that's the push for them to seek out our school.
Yeah, and it looks like there are children with special needs, and these children with special needs that come to you at the Radiant Spectrum, they have that interest, that innate interest, or at least a response to music, and that's wonderful. And some of these kids can actually have great musical ability and talent. What do you know about this, and how have you witnessed it among your students that you have, perhaps a protege in the making?
We do. We have quite a handful of students. The first thing that we would catch, okay, is their ability to play by ear. So they hear a tune and they can immediately replicate it on an instrument. We have seen this in children as young as 3 years old. They come into our center, they're so tiny, they can't speak, they struggle to follow instructions, or they can't even sit still. But this same 3-year-old could play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star from memory because she figured it out once on her own.
Wow.
And this same girl is now playing melodies from Richard Clayderman.
Wow, Richard Clayderman. from Twinkle Twinkle to Richard Clayderman. That's incredible.
Yeah, so I have a couple of students who started out as beginners. They completed their certifications very quickly, getting grade 1 in less than a year, things like that. A big reason for this is their musical ability. So it could be that they are pitch perfect or they have amazing memory. So they pick up songs very quickly. But to be fair, as a teacher, I would always have to say, talent or no talent, I think hard work counts more. So it's a bonus if you can play by ear, but what counts in the long run is hard work and practice. Lucky if you have talent, but it takes practice.
Consistency is key.
Yes.
Samantha So is getting us all excited about the Radiant Spectrum and the students that have come through the doors and how they are, performing so well there. We're hearing more about this Music Education Therapy Center for young children with special needs here in Singapore. And if you want to find out more about them, do visit their website. Just search theradiantspectrum.com. Now, so we've heard about some of these students that have come through your doors, and we want to hear especially about Andrew, a student of yours named Andrew, who's among your bright talents there. And this was a recording from early on when he came to your school. Trust me, when I was his age, I was sounding way worse than how he is sounding today. So that's Andrew. Tell us a little bit more about him, Samantha.
Yeah, sure. Andrew makes me look very good. Andrew has been learning with me for about 2 years now. When I first met him, he was hesitant to approach the piano, even though he clearly had the interest and the talent. He comes from a very musical family. His mom's a music teacher. But he just, he didn't want to. And I think at the beginning, what you heard earlier, you can hear that he's stumbling. His fine motor skills were lacking. So if I'm Andrew, I'll be so frustrated because he can hear all the tunes in his head, but his fingers are just lacking, But Andrew has come so far now. When you watch him at the piano today, you would never think he has special needs. It's easy for me to forget that he has his challenges. You put him in front of a piano, once he starts, you can't tell.
Wow.
But once the music stops, okay, everything comes back. Andrew's Andrew again. Andrew passed his grade 1 exam last year with distinction. He just passed his grade 3 exam in June this year.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm very proud of Andrew because we actually helped him to put together an online concert last year during the COVID lockdown.
Oh, yay!
Wonderful. And talking about Andrew, well, here he is again. So much more polished on the piano now, playing us this lovely piece. This one's Disco Baroque. All right, Andrea, close your mouth. Your jaws are like so...
What a world of a difference.
Indeed, right?
Wow, I'm amazed.
I want to go to her school now. I want to go to Samantha's school.
Now, Samantha, as I would imagine, you would need a lot of patience and, to teach children with special needs. You also need to have a certain aptitude as well on top of the attitude towards it. So besides needing to know music, needing to know how to relate to and teach a child with special needs, what kind of training do your teachers undergo?
Okay, so on that front, we focus a lot on hiring well, We focus a lot on building a strong team of teachers. We believe that actually it is a fact, right? There are plenty of people who are trained in music, but the truth is there are only a handful with the heart to work with children with special needs. So all our teachers are trained in-house on how to work with special needs children. New teachers shadow our students and practice for more than 80 sessions before they are given their own students to teach. We also develop our curriculum in-house. So all these goes hand to hand, hand in hand. What materials to use for each student, why your task is designed a certain way. But all the training in the world doesn't matter if you don't have the heart.
Absolutely. Just really quickly, Samantha, if you can, we have about 30 seconds before we let you go. We're very excited about what the Radiant Spectrum has in the future. What plans do you have moving forward?
Well, we are currently teaching CCA at Eden School. So we do hope that going forward, we can work with more schools in Singapore, because learning music can be quite a luxury, especially if you're a parent of a special needs child, the bills, the lack of time. So we do hope that, if we can work closely with more special education schools in Singapore, that would be the best way to cast our net even wider.
Indeed. And I wish you all the best with that. All of us here at the studio wish you the best with that. We've been hearing about the inspiring musical work of the Radiant Spectrum. It's a music education therapy center for young children with special needs here in